Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Morning, friends.
Song for today is Hey 19 by Steely Dan, or On the Edge of 17 by Stevie Nicks,
Or she was 16,
Only 16 by
only
Dr. Hook. What's it going to
16.
be? I know it's got a number in it. It's a
Our
team number.
songs with numbers in them. 3
8675309.
Or there's that other oh yeah.
That you didn't say
Yeah,
anything.
so no,
I was waiting on. Oh, there's also that other. Did you just like your mind just stopped? It just.
there's that song when you only have 100 years to live, five for fighting.
I'm familiar with Foo
Yeah,
Fighters.
a lot of number songs.
There's a number of number songs. That's where you were going with that.
Well,
You know,
particularly ages, yeah.
our dad used to love to say that particular line. Well, a number of. When we think about a number of, well, that means you're selling nothing. It's not a few. It's not a couple. There's a number of things, and I'm like a number. Well, of course, there's a number, Dad. I mean, can you give me the number? We're talking five. We're
It's
talking
not helpful.
500. There's a number. You talk like that sometimes. I like that. Hey, so before we get into the song, whatever that is that has a number in it that Roger's going to tell you in just a minute, I had such a great moment yesterday. So bought another tractor for the farm, sold the
You are such a farmer.
giant John Deere utility tractor that was like $40,000. It's ridiculous,
What
crazy.
you actually are is you are such a car auto equipment salesperson.
I know.
You're a buyer and seller
I am.
like me,
Well, like I
just
could
with big
this
things.
tractor I bought yesterday, I'm like, I could probably sell it for 95. I bought it for 6,500. But great condition, John Deere, like 40 horsepower.
You
I'm
do
like,
this all the time.
but I've actually
You're
thought
great
about
at finding
I could paint the wheels and just sell this thing, boom, no problem. Just
and then flip it for
get something with
just
the
keep
loader. I don't know, just keep
no,
keep adding stuff.
right.
But
Find me a backhoe.
I appreciated I so much appreciated our Grandpa Martin. So the guy I bought it from, I think his name was like Billy. Good guy. Probably 75 years old. He's kept this tractor in his shop. I mean, Roger, there's no rust on it. I mean, it's just like
That's
beautiful
great.
condition. And
A pretty track.
it's like 1998, and I've been looking at tractors from the 60s and 70s, because when you're in that little price range,
Right. Well, yeah, you
that
gotta.
3 to 6,000 range, well, you ain't getting new stuff.
That's where I live with automobiles.
Right. Well, that's true.
Right.
But I talked to him, and drove it around. He's like, this thing I haven't cranked it in 2 weeks. And he just turns the key, starts right up. All the
Of
lights
course.
work, the dash works, which is big on an old tractor. Half of them, none of the dash works. Like all the instruments, I mean, it's crazy. Everything worked on it. Drove it around his little farm. I'm like, this is great. But it reminded me of, because it was a little smaller tractor, it's compact. It's not small. No, and in fact, when I drove it up on the trailer, Marlena goes, "Oh, it's a baby tractor." I'm like, "Stop it. This is a mid-size, hon. A
It's a
baby,
teenager.
right? A baby tractor would be the one that's
Well,
sitting in the
garden
barn. Yeah,
tractor.
the barn tractor. Anyway, but I realized how much I appreciated Grandpa Martin, just the things he taught us about. Because I was asking this guy, where's all the grease points on it? He's pointing all the little nubbins, and I'm like, Grandpa used to show me how to do that with the little grease gun, and
Yeah,
you go into
yeah, I
all the
remember
little
that. Yeah.
nubbins. And this guy's like, I change oil. I'm like, I don't know that I'll have to maintain it for a year or more because he's done everything.
Yep.
And I was praying it this morning. I was just God for Grandpa Martin.
Hmm.
All the things that he taught us about farm life, about masculinity, about breaking horses, about not breaking mules, although he thought it was hilarious that we tried. Um,
Well, and it's
just
funny
life stuff that he could do
with, you know, so the song today, at
at
17,
17
but
by Ian Crones. No, Janice Ian.
Janice Ian, but the idea that our contact with dad and our granddad in our teens, like at that age, was huge.
So, the two, if I would talk, two biggest deals in my life at 17, because that's the song we're at. I just thought of this.
Okay.
The two biggest deals that happened when I was 17. Number one, I had a long-term girlfriend,
Yeah.
like a girlfriend for 6 months. We'll call her Brenda.
You don't
Which
know
was
how
her name.
strange that was.
Yeah,
Bruce,
because I would have
Bruce
girlfriends.
flitted around like a butterfly from girl to girl.
2 weeks to a month. That was like the length of my, dating capacity for I just wasn't an exclusivity kind of guy. But that was a long term.
Bruce would lose his focus.
I would lose
Oh, you are
focus.
so
I
beautiful.
love you so much. Oh my. Oh my. But the second thing was Grandpa Martin died.
I wondered if that, yeah.
And I had the chance to take Brenda to see him, and he just fell in love with her, just loved her. Because I talked about it later when they moved him short term to Chattanooga.
Hmm.
He's like, I really like that Brenda. I like her a lot. Anyway, it was so, but in some ways, Grandpa Martin dying was more impactful on me than Grandpa Rice dying, only because I was so much closer to him.
Oh gosh, yes.
So much closer to Grandpa
Well,
Martin.
we spent so much more time, and so ultimately we were more life influenced. Granddad Rice was a celebrity. I mean, so gobs of people knew him. Only a handful of people knew our Granddad Martin, and yet his impact on our character and person.
Roger, I'm already doing it with KJ. I've got an 18-month-old grandson, another grandbaby coming next Monday, Lord willing. But Roger, you know what KJ does when he sees me now? I put my finger out and he touches my finger. It's hilarious. I'm like, why am I doing this? I'm like, because my Grandpa Martin did it.
Yeah.
So sometimes
That
I'm
was his-
saying bye and he'll be crying because he doesn't like it when Poppy leaves. I'll just put my finger on the glass and then he'll put his finger on the glass.
Oh my, that
It's
is
like
so...
the Titanic. It's so beautiful. It's not like the Titanic at all.
What a terrible thing to say. Okay, bye-bye.
Stop, God. I'll probably see you tomorrow, but it's really 50-50.
Where's the Titanic come from?
Long story. It's a long story. The people that have seen the Titanic know where I'm going. Oh, enough about my my stories.
Your life at 17.
Roger, why did you pick the song "At 17" by Janice Ian, which no one in the world has ever heard of?
Well, it is. I'm pretty sure it's a one-hit wonder.
Yeah.
So 1975. Now 1975, looking back, like that was a great year for songs. I mean,
Yeah.
there was some amazing stuff in 1975. Well, it turns out her song, like in that Billboard Top 100, I looked this, like ended up into the year being the 20th song out of 100
Yeah.
of some great, great stuff. So it's just
And
fascinating.
didn't you say it made it to number 3 at one point?
Yeah, so it made it one.
And I didn't even know that I knew the song. But then when I played the song, I'm like, oh yeah, I knew this song. So I would have been 11 years old when it came out.
Right. And so I'm 14. So I'm
Yep.
at 17. Now there's so many layers to it. It's fun. But again, now you can probably guess this sort of like the memorable lyric, the resonating lyric for me was and those whose names were never called when choosing sides for
For
basketball.
basketball. In
Now-
our case, kickball.
Or basketball, right.
Because I didn't play basketball.
But yes, but you're right. So the ill-advised system of getting
And
teams.
it was a system. You had 2 captains.
Right.
And I guess the group picked the captains. And then you were lined up against the wall, Roger.
Right.
Like, what do they call like a lineup? Like at the police thing.
Gauntlet is another word that
There's a
comes to
measuring
me.
stick behind you so you can see how tall each person is.
So now,
And I was a little feller.
so they're picking, and there's still that thing of wanting your name to be, and it's like, and you're getting down, and it's getting down near the end, and finally get down to the end,
And you're still on the wall.
and you're still on the wall. It's like, no, you guys can have Roger. No, 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 no. We had him last time.
It's terrible. It's a terrible system. And I think that's why our generation created upward basketball so that everybody wins.
Right.
I mean, everybody plays. It's the idea that everybody's equal. Now, the reality is there's some truth in the song at 17. Life isn't fair, baby.
Oh, and the more that I've looked at it, there's a lot of truth. And I realized I resonated at some level with the part of um, the because it pictures high school. So you just look back at high school. High school is right. There's the jocks and the nerds. There's the pretty girls and there's the wallflowers. There's the and school that has a
There's the campus queen and the campus hero.
school has a way of separating or dividing those out.
Yeah.
I resonated more with that less popular. You're not the one people are saying, yeah, we want Roger, you know. Now, people might have wanted me on their spelling bee team,
Yeah.
or there's some. So I had,
Their debate team. You
And
never
what's
see
fa-
Roger in debate.
and what's fascinating is to look back or talk with people and to discover at some point, some people's school thought I was in the cool group,
Yeah.
or thought I was.
Right.
And you look at, but we all have this. At 17, she's like,
Roger, the key for me was have cool friends. In
okay,
other words, I was popular. I was what I call mid-level popular. Okay. So I might get like early on in the junior high, I might get voted in as a class president.
okay.
I think seventh grade, I got voted in as the class secretary because no one could beat Steve King. Steve King, his name was King, for heaven's sake.
Right.
Steve King was like the ruler of the whole, junior high world. But I was a mediocre athlete, but I played well enough to become, because we played so much soccer as kids,
Mm-hmm.
to become captain of the team by the time I was 17. Actually, that was a big deal at 17. Like we were the first Tennessee Temple high school team to beat Baylor.
Oh gosh, they were
When I was captain. That was
right.
the big,
That was
Macaulay and Baylor were the two
Macaulay and
teams
Baylor, right?
that if you're
The
gonna
prep schools.
if you're going anywhere, you need to beat Macaulay or now we didn't even play Macaulay because Macaulay was spring soccer and we were fall soccer.
Okay.
But Baylor was fall soccer. That was another big deal at 17. But it's interesting that whole song. There's so many things I want to go into because the lyrics on certain things were so deep. But this reality that we gained so much about our false identity in high school,
Mm-hmm.
not a true identity. False identity is I am what I look, I am what my peers think of me, I am my friends. Like I said, the key was having cool friends or popular friends.
Mm-hmm.
I am what I drive. I bought into that. I bought a 66 Mustang as all I possibly could, which immediately put me in cool camp.
Oh gosh, absolutely right.
Where Roger was driving a Datsun Capri Sun, like the drink. But all those false identity things, I was talking to Marlene about this. I said, I realized the identity that I chose, because we have this idea we can choose an identity, was never going to be an athlete. I mean, I knew I wasn't going to play college soccer. I wasn't
Right.
good enough.
Right.
I was never going to be an academic.
Right.
I wasn't. Well, I mean, I think I was smart enough. I just didn't work hard at anything.
Yep.
So I'm like, and I didn't want to be in the honor society because then once you got in the honor society, you were considered nerd level. So I'm like, yeah, we don't want that. That's
And
out.
see that I didn't realize that, and so I was in the
Honor society.
National Honor Society. We had the
You and David both.
When they started it. So what do they call the founding? Well, there's a term
Founding,
for,
yeah.
but it's the original.
Ground floor.
Right. So when they started the National Honor Society at our school, I was in the first group, and this kind of put me, like you're saying, this mid-level, because I'm sure now there were people who thought, oh, now Roger is something based on this, or
Because as I recall, you were not an athlete either.
no, I was not.
Were you the manager or the ball boy for the soccer team? I can't remember.
I was actually on the team, but effectively I was the ball boy.
Roger, can you bring that water for everybody?
7th grade, when I'm 13, I'm on a team. I didn't play a minute of any game the entire year. Me and Stanley Skinner.
Stanley Skinner. I haven't heard that name in 100
Stanley
years.
Skinner and I did not play a minute. Mom and Dad came to our last game because the coach had promised everybody would play it some point in the
Okay, who was
season.
the coach then? Turner?
I think it might have been Bush. Well,
Bush. Okay, because David came under Bush.
well, you know what?
And Bush was my first
I think
junior high coach.
so Mom and Dad were never coming to game, but they came to the last game because I was going to play because the coach had said we would.
And you did not.
And the game was close at the end, and they couldn't take the chance.
Trend.
He couldn't keep his promise because it was so at 13 would have been my song, which was those whose names were never called when sending a soccer player out on the field.
Even though it's the last game of the season and you've been promised that you're going to play.
But so one of the things in this song, though, that hit me is the desperate desire to be wanted.
Yeah.
This resonate because that for Valentines that never came, those whose names were never called, the idea that, well, even sometimes in a Valentine, I want you, I like you, and just to think of just the thing just resonates this deep human longing of to be wanted.
Yeah.
Well,
and to sing, to be significant. Marlene and I are watching a Netflix series that's made a ton of there's been a lot of media attention to it. So it's called Adolescence. It's like number 1 or 2 in the world right now on Netflix. Adolescence. Okay. It's a story about a 13-year-old that apparently kills a classmate. But what we realize is, further we're getting into it, we're realizing it has to do with even how social media is affecting the brains of adolescents. But so you talk about pecking order and where am I and am I significant and am I wanted? Yeah. You ramp it up 100 times with social media now. In other words, there might have been a pool of 10 people that could tell me who I was in relation to them. The rest of them I don't know. They're sort of ancillary. Social media now, thousands of people can jump on a train and call you insignificant, or a loser, or
wanted, or like the likes,
or wanted, the likes,
right? Where we even find we're checking, we post something, whatever, we check the likes. We're still tuned into, am I liked? Am I wanted?
Am I worthy? Am I significant?
And all those things then that we attach to that.
Yes. And I talk about this a lot when I do talks on identity. And I talk about even how, like in high school in particular, we try to find our identity through our peers. And I remember, senior year, for those of you that remember, we used to have senior superlatives. So this was the best act, the funniest. They didn't have best looking because that would have been wrong.
They did have it, right?
Well, by the time I got to senior, you had best dressed. And then you had best appearance. When you think about it, because best dressed was a certain thing.
Right.
Best appearance, that meant hot or not. But they couldn't say hot or not at the little Christian school.
No, that was not.
So I was hoping to get best dressed or best appearance or funniest. I mean, I was just like, because I was fairly funny. I mean, I did a mean George Carlin back in the day, and I could make people laugh.
But there's where you and I had a similarity. One part of finding our place or our persona was humor.
Yeah. And I didn't think I was going to get like best appearance because that's like best looking. I'm like, I'm not that, but I did dress I was very dapper. So I bought my own clothes. I was very much into the whole prep thing. I didn't win any of those.
I didn't win any either.
You know what I won? I did get one.
Oh, I didn't get one.
Oh, I got one. I was most versatile. Gosh. I had to go look it up. Like, most versatile, that's like, to me, that was the jack of all trades, master of none.
No, that was the trophy for everyone.
Exactly. You wanted to be good at something. Right. I just want to be good at something. And you're going to say,
you're the jack of all trades.
You're okay at all sorts of things. A lot of things. Now, what's funny about that is that did work out to be true. I'm not great at anything, but I'm pretty good at a lot of things, which is fascinating. I'm like, who'd have thought?
Yeah.
And even mom and dad naming me Bruce, which turns out Roger means shining warrior. That's a great name. Mom and dad killed it there. My name means keeper of the shrub. I'm like, really? Mom and dad, did you look it up first? Did you ever think maybe we should see what this name means?
Bruce.
But I realized in our family, I'm the only outdoorsman. When I camping, hiking, I'm like, I am the keeper of the shrub. I am the shrubber. So
let me bring this into play.
Okay.
So I'm going to bring another song into the mix. We've done this before. This is the 2 for 1. this song ended up connecting in the bizarrest way with another song. Um, because one of the fascinating things about this song that I hadn't picked up on, I resonated with what I felt most deeply in high school, which was more the um, not in that group, or though I think looking back, probably everybody had some amount of that. There was always somebody
Yeah.
they were looking. I'm not, and trying to. But what I love about this song is whoever wrote it. I didn't look up to see who, if Janice wrote it or somebody
That's a great point.
actually wrote it. But um, there's the line, she's not painting the winners and losers because she says, those of us who win the game and lost the love they sought to gain.
Yeah.
Um, it's this idea. So I realized my mind kept going to
She is the songwriter.
Is
Yeah.
she okay?
So she wrote it. And I thought that because when you look at her face on the album, she's not the beauty queen.
Gotcha.
And so she talked about, and those of us with ravaged faces lacking in the social graces, we never got the invitation to the dance.
Yep. Right. So we would make that up. We would
we would invent lovers on the phone. Yeah.
But then she paints this picture, but don't believe that the ones with the clear skin smiles and
because she said at one point early in the song, she says, at 17, life is not all it seems. And then she goes into the beauty queen that marries the prince,
the hometown beauty queen that marries into what she needs with the guarantee of
security. He even talked about security in her old age,
right,
which is interesting. But then there's this turn. I had to look up for the first time. I had to look up a word. She talked about debentures of quality that were suspect in integrity. What was the word?
Right, with dubious integrity.
With dubious integrity.
Yep.
So the idea of a debenture, I had to look this up. It's a note or a bond that's paid to someone, but it's not secured by anything except for trust. And you got this sense in the song, the beauty queen that married the prince and all of that, their marriage did not go, because at some point the note came due.
Right. In other words, and even the thought, like, this idea, those who win the game lose the love they sought. In other words, beauty isn't, at 17, that seems like the ideal.
Yes. Yeah.
But things are not always the same. And the song, I discovered this song by the Eagles was written the same year, 1975.
I can't wait to hear the song.
Lying Eyes.
You can't hide your lying
eyes. Now, do you know the
and your smile is a thin disguise.
Do you know the story behind Lying Eyes? No. It's the idea that it starts off, city girls find out it's easy to open up your doors with just a smile, a rich old man, and you won't have to worry. So,
yeah,
beautiful girl marries a rich guy, but older, it sounds like. And now she's
Bill Belichick comes to mind.
Oh gosh, that is so.
He's like 77, dating a 23-year-old. Bully for you, Bill.
Right.
Bully for you.
No, it's just so incongruous.
But you think, okay, I mean, I'm just being honest, I had to decide, I'm like, well, she's set for life.
Right.
Financially.
Right. But that is the Lying Eyes. Okay. She actually, but and the end of that song, it's funny how you thought things, life would change things, but basically, it's going back to high school. You're still the same old girl you used to be. And she.
So did someone marry Don Henley for the money? And he's like, Lying Eyes.
So Lying Eyes is this song about a beautiful guy. It's the counterpart to Janice Ian's song, that when she actually says, you lose the love you sought again, those who win the game.
Yeah.
Because it's even funny in her song, like she talks about that the hometown beauty queen who marries into what she needs
Who marries young and then retires.
and then
It's a
retires.
great line.
But then as that goes into the Devonshire, that's when it goes into
But eventually the debt comes back and it goes unpaid.
and the small town voices gape at you
Yep.
when payments due.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, the story of the beauty queen doesn't always turn out like it. And it's this reminder, actually, that
And what a beautiful way to lyrically say the words broken trust.
mm,
She uses Devonshire, dubious integrity, payment due, less than amount received.
right.
It's this. It's just a beautiful. I mean, lyrically, there's so many things in that song. I don't know if you caught it,
Yeah.
and I don't know. I don't. Well, no, I'm not. I'm not even sure that I'm
I'm not
right.
sure you're deep enough to have picked
No,
this up,
I'm
right?
not even sure that I'm right in what she was saying, but I picked up on some of her potential concerns about even racism and segregation, discrimination. It's in the 70s. She said a brown-eyed girl in Hand-Me-Downs said, "Pity those who serve; they only get what they deserve." And it reminded me. I'm just saying, it reminded me of like of how much privilege I have as a white male in our culture.
Hmm.
The reality is, I don't get what I deserve. In other words, we have this idea, and I learned this all through my years in Faith in Action and Cornerstone and all the work that we did
Right.
in working in poorer communities. I realized, man, I had a leg up from day one.
Yep.
I had so many opportunities availed to me
Right.
that others don't. And others may be getting all that they deserve.
Right.
But I wasn't. We want to believe that meritocracy is actually what everything is, how the economy works, is how
Right.
the civilization.
All you have to do is work hard, and then everyone is on an equal plane. As long as you're a
But
hard worker,
it's not true. I realized in that world, and let's say in the economic, the socioeconomic world, I was the beauty queen with clear skinned face. I had so many opportunities available to me. I mean, so I was just like, it was just, and that was not the whole song, but it was just woven in at that one point.
Yeah.
Like, that's an interesting statement about another in her, I think in her world, another outsider,
Okay.
a person on the outside looking in. So I just thought that was cool the way she verbaged that. She wrote that. Any other favorite lyric?
I don't know. As far as favorite, I just really this again. This is where the musicians you tap into something. Like I think about like why that song became so popular.
Good point.
It's
Yeah.
not a driving rock. So, it's not got this. There's almost like there's just this kind
It's a
of
very folk song.
ballady, right? Folksy kind
Acoustic guitar
of
song. Yeah.
right. There's not a, but I think it just touched into our humanity, these deep things about wanting to matter, about finding identity. Again, it takes me back to
Oh,
high
yeah.
school, to those days.
Oh, and did I even talk about? Okay, I didn't. I got so distracted.
Oh, good.
So I realized at 17. So the identity I chose for myself, since I couldn't be an athlete and I wasn't going to be the academic,
Right.
I'm going to be successful at work. I'm going to be successful. That was the identity I chose was successful. Now, wrapped into that was make a certain amount of money. But I also learned how to leverage, like use debt to look wealthy, to look rich. I'll never forget this line by someone that said, you can either act rich or you can actually be wealthy. Which do you want to be? Well, all my life I've just acted rich. I've never, I mean, not like
I was living beyond my means.
all the cars that I would drive, the clothes that I had. I would even wear like expensive diamond rings, just bizarre when I look back because I chose this identity. I am what I appear. In that sense, I wanted to win best appearance,
Hmm.
even though I wanted to be best looking. There was no way that was happening. But I want
You were short.
I was
I
short.
remember for the longest time.
The longest time
you
I was
were
short. Well, the time I was driving, I was tall, so that was good. I mean, I
Right.
finally was, getting into that. But then I had the mixed,
Roxford.
yeah, I had the mixed problem of I can't stay in pants. Everyone like, "Hey, you expecting a flood?" No, because there was 4 inches between the bottom. And my parents didn't have a ton of money, so they weren't buying clothes every month to keep up with my growth spurt. Lord have mercy.
Oh, yes.
I actually brought capris to our high school. No one else was wearing them yet.
Which reminds me, that dreaded seventh grade year, that I joined the soccer team to play on the
Joined.
because everyone would get to play before I get to the practice. I'm the only one in white cleats.
Oh no, the white
White
cleats.
cleats.
No, Roger.
That's when
Mom bought me a pair of white cleats too, and I think there was one other person. He was terrible.
I think
Couldn't play.
I think you understood though the gravitas of that.
Yes.
I was like blithely, oh my.
Do you know what we were supposed to have? Do you remember? There was two brands we were supposed to have. This is back in the
Is it
70s.
Adidas and Puma?
Adidas and Puma.
Okay.
Those were the only two acceptable ones. When I finally got a black pair, it was like Kmart Goobers.
I think mine was JC Penney.
Jason Penn's a step up from Kmart. I mean, the blue light went off and Mom ran to it. She ran to
I
it.
think mine was white with like blue and red stripes. And it just called attention to me as if
You were great.
as if my awkwardness.
Roger White Shoes Martin.
And it wasn't like my white shoes were even getting dirty kicking
No.
anything because I wasn't making contact with the ball.
And you were black.
Wasn't playing. My cleats stayed white all year.
It's terrible. Roger, how have you recovered from that identity nightmare?
You know what's funny
I mean,
is
because you're still not a dresser, let's face it.
I'm still blissfully unaware.
Roger is in fact.
Roger's down.
Antithesis.
I'm wearing white cleats today.
You guys got to see his shorts. They've got like paint all over them. It's just like, Lord have mercy. And the white cleats do stand out. Roger's at least gone to black shoes, but he wears them with white socks, which all that says is I'm really old. I'm super old.
No, but I have thanked God many times. You know, there's something that gets shaped in that at 17, at
Formative
14,
years.
at that you have an idea about how life works, but she's right. Life isn't always the same. You're going to learn that what you thought mattered.
What you learned at 17 wasn't.
What you thought mattered in high school doesn't, or not nearly at the level. And I have thanked God many times by the grace that He's helped me see that. Because honestly, not everyone's gotten there. I just think I was very tuned in to how people saw me and wanting to fit in, whatever. As bad as my choices were to try and do that, I was very tuned in more than any point in my life. I enjoy my identity is in my walk with God and who He's made me to be. I don't have to look good. I don't have to impress people. I don't have to, but at 17 or I was very tuned into those kind of things. It's the grace of God that has got me beyond that. But I call it a grace because not everyone gets there. I think you can still have people still living in high school. They're still desperately.
Oh my gosh, that's
trying.
Such a good title for a book. Living in high school. Still living in high school.
Still, where I'm still trying to get people to like me.
Yeah.
I'm still that my identity still is in what people think or how
Roger,
yeah.
Can you imagine? All right, so a church is looking for a pastor, and they just lined up 20 pastors on the wall, and they're like the two captains are going to pick, and you're like that feel because I did talk about that to Marlena because we drove in together, and because I played the song for him, like I said I can that line resonates because I remember standing on the wall waiting to get cleared for kickball, and I was always second to last. David Adkins was last because he was smaller than I was, but it was that I was never last. Which is here, unless David Atkins was sick that day.
Then when you get to the end, I'd be there. It's like, do we have to pick? I think we've got enough.
I think no. I do think that happened to you. I'm like, all right, tables are done. And you're like, can I just
take Roger? Well, no, that would mean we have more players. Does it? No, it doesn't matter. That's fine. We're okay with that. We're good.
One last thing from the song that reminded me of the words of Jesus, and it goes back to the lyric that you put. And it says,
take us out with a word from Jesus.
Jesus said, "What do you actually gain? What do you actually profit? What's the upside if you gain the whole world which at 17, we think that's what we want. I remember at 17, I had the world by the tail. By 19, I had the world by the tail. I'm getting married. I've got my own, I've got nice cars. What does it profit a man if he gains the whole world? Which we would go, that seems like a pretty good thing.
Hmm.
And loses his soul or loses his very self. And I'm like, back to we're still living in high school. How many people are still selling their soul for the wrong things? The acceptance, the success, the money, the and maybe even the stress that goes along with that. But the emptiness, the hole that it can never fill, the love that they never.
They sought to gain.
My identity comes from the fact that I am a son of God and I'm loved unconditionally by God every day. And when I walk in that, I'm able to enjoy everything that God's given me in life, or I should say, entrusted to me in life.
And that to me is what comes out in Lying Eyes. The gal sold her soul.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
Hmm.
She got money and security. She didn't get love.
She didn't get love.
Hands as cold as ice. That she actually loves this guy that she's trying to get off, but she made a trade. She made a trade, and she got this, but she didn't get love. And this is where I think Janice Ian lose the love they sought to gain. In other words,
Yeah.
this is where beauty can be a curse, or where I'm wanted just because of my beauty.
Yeah.
But she's playing the same game in Lion Eyes. She wants him only for his money.
Yeah.
Doesn't want him.
Which I was kind of hoping for. That's why I chose success.
He wants her for her looks, and they've made a trade-off, and it's not love.
And I think the artist Meatball would say to them, 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Oh, we worked another.
Sorry, it's Meatloaf, but I love to call him Meatball. It's just funnier.
Eagles, Meatloaf, and Janice Ian. Who saw that coming?
Who saw that coming?
I don't. And Jesus.
Yeah. So, well, yes, the greatest lyricist ever, as it turns out. So next week, I want to pick a song that people have actually heard of, because I think that'll be helpful for some people.
You think people have heard of Lying Eyes by the Eagles? You think that's sort of a...
They've probably heard of that one. They've probably heard of Meatball. It makes me laugh. Oh, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Did we figure out that a couple of years ago during our podcast, that was the number 3 best-selling album, like, of all time? It was like crazy.
I need to add that to my playlist.
Oh, yeah.
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Oh, that's a great one. Yeah. But yeah, you also, yes, out of that same album, Paradise with a Dashboard Light. That's very high school. That's why it's so high school. Holy cow.
Oh, there's some.
And on that carnal
like
note,
spiders and snakes. That's
not
very
what
high
it
school.
takes. We are, won't let me end. We're not.